Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Profit by Design podcast. Today, my name is Caitlin, and I am the sales and marketing team lead, as well as the hiring and leadership development strategist. And today, I'm taking over the podcast, taking over the reins, having a conversation, deep dive with Dr. Sabrina, very similar to what we geek out over week in and week out through Voxer around leadership and challenges that you might be experiencing in your business as it relates to building a workplace culture that really aligns with your core values. So to kick things off, Dr. Sabrina, it's so wonderful to have you here today. We haven't had a conversation like this in a while, so I'm really excited.
I am too, Caitlin. I think us talking about why is it that most high performing, driven A players and business owners are the first to burn out. And it's so key to culture. So I can't wait for us to dive into this.
Right. So many of our business owners come to the both of us. They've hired these talented people and always ask, why aren't they performing like the A players or the high performers I know them to be? Why does it always feel like I'm double checking everything, that my team waits on me in order to lead? The accountability feels so inconsistent, and that you yourself are still the one that's carrying the standard across the board. And what we find is that the problem is you have a culture that isn't producing A players. And it all starts with understanding what an A player is. So, an A player is intrinsically motivated. They want opportunities to stretch and to grow. They want to be challenged, inspired, and motivated by your mission, vision, and purpose of your company. And these high performers are 900 to 1200% more productive than the average warm body. So, let that sink in just a moment. And remember that they really seek to grow within their role. So this is who we're talking about today, is those team members. And if you find yourself stuck, most business owners assume if I just find better people, it's just going to fix itself, right? But what they don't realize is that A players, we don't just show up. We respond to the environment that is created for us, the container of our culture. And even highly capable people can hold themselves back, wait for that direction, avoid ownership, which might seem a little different from what you'd expect an A player to be, right? This is often because the culture doesn't support leadership, clarity, and trust. So if you're feeling super frustrated with your team, even though you've hired these good people, building an A player culture truly isn't about pushing harder. It's about alignment internally and externally. And how you show up as a leader really creates how your team performs. So there's a couple of things that we're going to dive deeper in today. So at a high level, we're going to talk through what A players truly need. They need clarity in their expectations and their roles, emotional regulation and presence from yourself as the leader, as the mentor, meaning you're not reactive, not micromanaging, and that you're very aware of when you're leading versus when you're over functioning. And the last, but the most crucial and sometimes the most challenging for most business owners that I talk to and how to hire the best is a shift from control to trust and development. At Tap the Potential, I feel like we check all these boxes. I feel like we really do inspire and support all of our A players to step up to the plate and grow within their leadership. So, what I'm really curious about, Dr. Sabrina, is you day in and day out are helping business owners, not just with their leadership skills, but also in helping them build these high performing teams. So, what have you noticed about our clients who really struggle with building culture in their business?
So it is that shift from not trusting to trust. And making that shift is so hard. So, our clients who come in, and the majority of small business owners really struggle with building culture. And I think the first piece is just this awareness that it's our immutable laws that create the culture in our business. And so understanding that we're going to build a business that we're proud of, that is reflective of our immutable laws. And as we work with our business owners and how to hire the best,
Mhm.
they get really good at bringing these A players on board, and they start to just let go just that tiny little bit. Their trust starts to grow. And so it makes total sense, Caitlin. Like if you think about it, if you have a team of C players and you have been disappointed over and over every time you've tried to delegate and it doesn't get handled properly, of course you don't trust, right? And so when we start showing them you can hire an A player and they come in and they reflect your core values. And so even as they mess up, because we all mess up, they
Mhm.
do it in a way that doesn't feel awful to you. They do it in a way that feels like, oh, they messed up and they're taking ownership and they're wanting to correct it in a way that aligns with our values. And so every little bit of that goes on starts
Mhm.
to build the business owner's trust. Caitlin, what are you seeing?
To piggyback off of that, I want to say immutable laws and understanding your core values is something that we teach in How to Hire the Best. It is so profound. These aren't just things that you hang up in the wall, hang up on your wall in your company or maybe in an office. It's truly something that you reinforce day in and day out. So when you do see your A players, just a pro tip that you can go ahead and take out into the world. If you see your A players who are showing up and reflecting those core values, reinforce that in them. It starts to build this amazing feedback loop of communication that you have. And the more that you reinforce that, it builds their confidence, their trust in you, and their ability to really open up to your leadership or your leadership style. And what I find is that so many business owners come in with this hiring PTSD, and almost it feels like their whole body contracts and you can sense that they're holding all of this tension and so anxious to hire again, right? Because they've had these costly mistakes in their business. And most businesses experience 75% of mishires out of 100%. I mean, that number is astounding. If you think about a small business owner who's just trying to put one step in front of the other, that can feel so massive, so big. Dispelling your own myths around hiring PTSD is typically step number one when you do come in, and we do a lot of live coaching around what this looks like and how you're carrying this and how it's impacting your hiring process. What I also see is that as business owners, we have these tentacles. You know, you're an octopus, you're everywhere. You wear all the hats in the business. And when you start to hire, you want to delegate those things out. The way that your A players come in, step up, and create their own systems around that can look really different. And I think that what we talk about and How to Hire the Best so much is around giving more clarity, giving more expectation to A players so they understand, what am I doing here? What does success look like to you? And if I were to get one thing done today, what is the most important key performance indicator, or what is the most important outcome that I can help you to? Because when those lines are really blurry and you're seeing your role through maybe somebody else's eyes and it's hard to connect those dots, the expectations are so unclear, the decision making isn't defined, and even great people are going to hesitate. They're going to recoil and retreat and second guess themselves every time they want to take a step forward.
You know, Caitlin, what you're talking about is so pivotal, and it really speaks to the level of support that we're providing our business owners and How to Hire the Best. Because you mentioned, if we're following typical hiring practices, we're going to mishire 75% of the time. So 3 out of 4 times we're mishiring.
Mhm.
When our business owners come into How to Hire the Best, we rapidly turn that around so that they have a 90% chance of hiring right.
Mhm.
So 9 out of 10 hires will be A players and good fits for the team. And it happens because of the strong guidance that they're getting from you in our How to Hire the Best course, because you're getting in there. There's a Q&A discussion they come to, and anything that they're struggling with in the hiring process as they go through the course, you're supporting them with. So there
Mhm.
is opportunity for you to really be in the background and guide how the job ads are written. You've even written job ads for our clients.
I geek out at that. I won't lie there.
Yeah. I mean, some of the feedback when they've hired A players, the A players say, hey, I want to know who wrote that job ad, because that was that job ad really stood out to me. And it's Caitlin, by the way, who does that for our clients. So our clients are coming in, like when they struggle in the interview process and they don't know what to ask, or one of the common scenarios that we see in the How to Hire the Best course is business owners who will have multiple A player candidates
Yeah.
and having to make a decision with which candidate to choose because they're so good. Like, that's completely different than most business owners who can't even get an A player to apply, much less show up for an interview. So those are good problems to have, but it's the support as the business owner is onboarding the team member that you were really speaking to, and the support that you're providing enhances the communication between
Sure.
the business owner and the team member. And it's that enhanced communication because you're feeding that business owner the structure that they need to have a successful onboarding process with the A player.
Absolutely. And something that I say quite often in How to Hire the Best is building your culture starts well before your hiring process. Becoming an employer of choice starts with you, the business owner, identifying your core values and taking some strong next steps to build a repeatable hiring system that allows you, like a magnet, to attract the right people to you. So, what you were referencing around this quality over quantity is huge. And my favorite aha or light bulb moment is when a business owner comes into How to Hire the Best and they go, I don't have 100 people knocking at my door. I have 25 strong candidates or maybe less. And I need help deciding who's the right fit for me and what does that look like. And when I start to see that shift happen, it also changes the story that they tell themselves about hiring, and they become more and more confident each time. But as we grow our business, we don't just hire for those entry level positions. We start to hire positions of leadership.
Mhm.
And if you can start to build that employer of choice workplace, and you can start to build a team, a foundation of A players, and start to grow them into leaders or hire leaders, again, they can be coached and trained to become those strategic thinking partners who help you take your business as you continue to grow and scale it. And that's the next level of
Yeah.
what we really support you with. After becoming that employer of choice and hiring the A player, high performing talent, then it's how do we nurture this? How do we grow this? And how do we do it without losing sight that there are things to be done in our business that only we can do as business owners? How do
Caitlin,
we?
I think this is so exciting, and I think a lot of business owners don't realize this is one of the best kept secrets about the How to Hire the Best course. So you pay for this course. There's a one-time fee. It's very nominal, and you have almost a lifetime of support in your hiring and onboarding and leadership growth for your team members. Because what we encourage you to do as you go through the How to Hire the Best course is focus on your entry level positions first, because they're that's the least risk in the business if you mishire.
Mhm.
So we want to take risk off the table. It's the least costly to you if you mishire. Most likely you're going to hire right because you're following what we're teaching you in the How to Hire the Best course, and you have all this guidance. So then you nail how you hire, your system for hiring your entry level positions, because that's where you typically have the most turnover. But that also allows you to start elevating other people who are in the company and moving them into leadership roles. So you either promote from within or you hire leadership roles, and that's the next level of hiring that we support you with. But one of the things that is so beautiful that I don't know that most business owners really pay enough attention to is that promoting from within is the best retention tool that you have in your business, but it's also the best tool that you have to attract future A players, because A players crave opportunities for growth and advancement. And so many companies give lip service to opportunities for growth and advancement. When you can show that you actually have people that you have moved up in your company from entry-level positions, and you're putting them out there in social media, and we teach you how to do all of that, further solidifies that you're a great place to work and an employer of choice for the A players that you want to attract.
Absolutely. And that's where we see those skyrocketing results of employee retention,
Yeah.
growth opportunities, and even profitable revenue increasing. When you get to a place in your business where you can no longer be that octopus doing all of the things, and you have to start putting things in place to build and grow your team, having some strategic guidance and a thinking partner, and sometimes an executor. I mean, in How to Hire the Best, we do a ton of execution for you. We're writing your job ads, we're developing recruitment materials, developing advancement criteria. Having all of this forward and positive momentum to support you is what's going to help you continue to grow your business and build a team of people who want to drive the bus with you. I feel like there's a lot of resources out there that talk about the bus, right? When you have your mission, vision, and your purpose, and you know where you're headed. And entrepreneurship can feel so alone. But if you can get the right people on the bus, nurture them and grow them, I mean, everything in your business is completely limitless. And that's why I think it's so incredible when I see our business owners come through How to Hire the Best, or even our Leadership Academy. We have a whole host of courses that can support you in doing and accomplishing different things with your team. And what we see is so many businesses who are sustainably profitable and are not reliant solely on you as the business owner. And that's the dream, to see people grow and get really excited about your baby, give you all this innovation, all this energy, and help you really drive that bus forward towards your overall vision and impact.
Caitlin, you have painted such a beautiful picture of how this unfolds. And so I want to bring this full circle and come back to our topic, which is why your culture isn't producing A players. And if you've been listening through this podcast to this point, I hope that what you have gotten from this is a mindset shift from it doesn't feel possible for me to have a great place to work and be an employer of choice and have these A players who step up. So I hope that you have shifted that mindset and you've started to see, oh, it's possible. I just need some tools. I need some training, and I need that ongoing support to help me make sure that my leadership mindset and energy is in the right place, and we're creating this culture, because the culture starts with you, the business owner, and what you hold as possible. And when we are hiring A players and we hold the possibility that they are whole, competent, capable, and complete, then it makes it easier to delegate. And that starts off this chain reaction of elevating your A players and the culture overall in your business elevating, so that a year from now, when you look back and you say, oh my gosh, I cannot believe what my team is accomplishing, you realize that you have this snowball, this positive snowball that you've set in motion. And it just goes on and on and on from there, because now you have a culture that produces, nurtures A players, and attracts more A players, which help the growth of the business. All of this ties into the Tap the Potential solution. And what we've really dove into today is step 4 in the Tap the Potential solution: build your lean and mighty team. This drives the profit in your business, because your payroll is your biggest profit leak. And when you are managing your A players and leading and allowing them to flourish, you don't need as many team members, and your profit just grows exponentially from there, because they're also innovating, which is step 3 in the Tap the Potential solution. So this is how you set off this positive chain reaction in your business. So, really, the first place to go to get this going is you want to be in the How to Hire the Best course. Like, this is a no brainer. And if you want to find out all about that, guess who you need to talk to? It's Caitlin. Caitlin, you want to talk a little bit about what happens when people get on a phone call with you?
Of course. So typically, when I'm speaking with a business owner, whether it's related to how to hire the best or just the business, I'm going to learn a little bit more about you. I'm going to ask you some questions to understand your business, understand your challenges, and anything that's bubbling up to the surface. Sometimes when we have a conversation, hiring seems like the problem because we have that hiring PTSD. But the more that we dive in, and I really do understand your business and your team and your clients and who you serve, the more that tells me. And we can diagnose some things that could be getting in your way. So, truly, it's a container for us to have a couple of questions for curiosity, dive a little bit deeper into what's coming up for culture, team, or business. Could be any of those three. And I really do help you identify what's breaking down in your culture, understand how your leadership is shaping your team, and map out the next steps so that together we can build a sustainably profitable team driven business. So hop on my calendar at tapthepotential.com so that we can continue the conversation from here.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. Caitlin, I so appreciate you bringing your expertise on hiring and leadership development into the conversation.
Thank you for having me. This was incredible.
Bye for now.